Welcome to Mr. Giant Reacts and Ting and Ting and Ting. I'm Mr. Giant, and today we're going to be watching Canada and Communism during the Great Depression. That sounds like it will be real interesting. And I never really thought of Canada and the Great Depression, though I know it was extensive worldwide. But let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer. Let me start this over. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer and see what this is all about.
Of course you haven't. Here's a video about it. Well, hello, sunshine. Do you have an appointment? No, I've just been feeling really depressed. Well, you'll have to hold in there, honey. All these people are waiting as well. My currency is worthless. Once the stock market crashes, I will literally kill myself. What is up, Bachelor Pigeons? Today we're gonna... Shoot, I think I grabbed the wrong script. When most people think of Canada in the 1920s and 30s, they think of... Actually, nobody has ever thought about Canada in the 1920s or 30s, but here's a quick recap. The year is 1929, and Canada is in a bit of a weird situation. The flag? Whack. The climate? Whack. Non-hockey sports teams? Whack. But the economy? It was dope as Canada was having a great time extracting its hella natural resources and exporting them to the British Commonwealth and the United States. After World War I, farming especially was booming and the prairie provinces were producing record levels of grain. Europe was buying, America was buying, everyone was happy. The stock market was doing great and everything was fine and dandy for the rest of time. Psych! The stock market crashed and the world was plunged into an economic dark age that even Canada couldn't escape from. You see, the problem with having your entire economy rely on other people buying stuff that you dig out of the ground or whack out of the forest is that what if they're just like, I don't really want that stuff. Or in this case, sell everything! Pull out of every trade deal! Do not buy anything! Why am I yelling? So long story short, the Canadian economy collapsed because no one could afford to buy their maple syrup or timber or whatever. The Great Depression hit Canada like puberty hit Josh Peck. To prove my vague point, here are some depressing stats to make you feel better about your life. By 1933, 27% of Canadians were unemployed. In that same period, income fell by 50%, imports by 55%, exports by 25%, business investments dropped by 79%, and private capital expenditure declined by 70%. The agricultural sector of the economy was hit even harder due to their habit of overproducing prior to the crisis and an inconvenient drought that lasted 7 years in some parts of the country. Additionally, the price of wheat fell from $2 a bushel in 1929 to just 35 cents in 1932, which ruined farmers and led to an even bigger mess. Speaking of big messes, at the beginning of the Great Depression, the Prime Minister of Canada was Mackenzie King. His approach to the economic crisis was basically to just ignore it. The only thing that he did do was to increase tariffs on imports, which just made everyone else mad at Canada, a feat that no other Canadian has ever accomplished. This approach was obviously not popular with the average Canadian citizen who, after watching their income get slashed in half and failing to pay rent for the third month in a row, didn't really care for the government's "it is only a crisis if we call it a crisis" rhetoric. So they were all like, "Dude, the economy has gone down the toilet and you are not helping at all. First of all, you will address me as Mr. Prime Minister, not as, dude. Second of all, I'm in charge and there's nothing you can do about it." Wait, in the 1930 elections, Mackenzie King was defeated by R.B. Bennett from the Conservative Party. His whole campaign had basically just been him saying, "Vote for me and I will do something about the economy." Maybe. However, for all his talk about the economy, Bennett was far more concerned with another issue. Welcome to Canada's favorite game show, Catch That Commie! The rules are simple. Just guess who the communist is. It's him, isn't it? What? No, that's the other contestant. It's him. He's a commie. No, not him either. Him. No. Aha! Found you. Let's not get carried away. Where are you hiding the means of production? Bennett cracked down on any communist activity within the country. Anyone who was suspected of being a dirty commie was held in prison, and many perceived troublemakers were randomly arrested or deported back to Europe. Bennett also established...
So he did transferism, if that's a word. Wow. That stuff works perfectly in certain situations. I don't think it would have worked in an economic dire situation like a Great Depression. Because the same tactics are being used today, right now. People are so concerned about transgender and Black Lives Matter and abortion and stuff. They're not paying attention to the infrastructure not being the best, or the school systems being gutted and terrorized. Just things that would be vital to the survival of the common man is being ignored. Much as I think what he was hoping to do there is to, blame communism for everything. They are the problem, which will rile people up. And it works. It works because it's working right now where every little thing you say, oh, that's communism. You say free healthcare, that's communism. See, the government should get into the action and help the workers. Oh, that's communism. We can't have that ungodly system. And so people are struggling paycheck to paycheck here because they're scared of communism. And I guarantee you they've been trying to gut the Social Security, and they've been trying to gut Medicare, because they're gonna. One of the big things I've heard other people say that stuff is communism. We need to get rid of it, which would put everything in the private sector, and then everybody have nothing. Because if you put everything, privatize everything, it's going to be for profit. And once it's for profit, that little man don't mean nothing. And it's a sad, but it's used. It's that blinding people with one issue that really don't count, while other issues are falling apart. Apparently it's not working here too. Let's keep going.
Work camps to employ single young men who had nothing better to do. Nowadays we call that GameStop, but back then they were called the Royal 20 Centers, and the men were put to work for 20 cents a day. That wage was terrible, even back then, when you could probably get a college education for like a nickel. These camps served a practical purpose by employing a ton of stinky homeless guys, but also served as a way for the government to keep an eye on the poor men who were most likely to become commie scum. In 1935, a bunch of these would-be communists went on strike and organized a march to Ottawa so that they could yell at the government. However, Bennett saw that this was obviously a communist ploy to seize control of the country, so he sent in the police to crush the protest in Regina. Good thing you figured that one out, buddy. Another close call. To be fair, towards the end of his term in 1935, Bennett introduced some reforms based on the American New Deal, but most Canadians saw it as too little too late. So when Mackenzie King left the hockey rink and ran against Bennett, there wasn't much of a contest. Now that King was back in power, he immediately got to work getting rid of all of Bennett's stuff and started bailing out all the broke provinces. He also luckily happened...
You see that's the thing, because they equate communism with poor people a lot, because I think communists scream for the people more so. Not because a lot of people who proclaim to be communists wants to help the poor people, because if you make politics a career, that's your job. You don't want to lose it. But see, the poor people, they're communists, they're this. And it's a double-edged sword to a certain degree, because first you harbor the thought that poor people are poor because they aren't smart enough, or they're lazy or something like that. And then you add communism on top of that, where they want everything given to them for free. Lazy, didn't get education, they just want everything for free. And even poor people that here would say that. Like, for instance, the other day, one woman, this dude paid this girl's grocery bill because she didn't have enough. And another worker who is working from paycheck to paycheck and struggling just like everybody was mad about it, because she think that he should give her the money because she's working, and let that other woman starve. And the woman was in college, just struggling to better herself. But she think, don't give her nothing. Give it to me. You know what I mean? And that's why they bring the divide and thing between poor people there. That's just a thought. You understand? Let's keep going here.
to come back into power just as the economy was starting to show signs of a natural improvement. It wouldn't fully recover though until some angry German guy invaded his weaker Slavic neighbor, but that's a whole nother video.
That was quite interesting to see that even back then they were using communism as a scapegoat to hide the real issues that are going on within the society. That's crazy. Anyway, man, thank you all for watching this with me. I'll leave a link in the description to this video, you know what I mean? Go check out this channel, they have some good stuff like that. Comment down below, because this was quite kind of like an overall type thing, you know. Anybody from Canada who is watching this and you have more to say about it, comment down in the comment section. Love hearing from you all. I read all the comments, you know what I mean? So we all good to go, you know what I mean? You all take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings.